Destiny on the line.
Just ahead, Total Packers, featuring an exclusive one-on-one with Brian Gutekunst, where he talks about the possibility of drafting a quarterback.
Gonna go deep, got a man out there and got him, touchdown!
This is a quarterback league. It's such an important part of what we do, and there's only so many guys on the planet that can do it. But if you have an opportunity to acquire one, you're going to consider it.
We'll also go one-on-one with Coach Matt LaFleur and find out what kind of player he hopes to find here at the Combine.
Anytime you have a guy that you can throw a little shallow cross to and he can take it 60 yards.
Downfield, 50, 45.
Plenty of daylight. How many times have you seen this?
10-5, touchdown.
Those are the types of guys that we're looking for.
Toss in the unique insights and perspectives of the Packers insiders, and you've got Total Packers, the 2020 Combine Special, and it starts now. Hello everyone and welcome to Indianapolis. I am Larry McCarron. We're coming to you from the NFL Scouting Combine, where well over 300 prospects are trying to run, jump, and lift their way into the good graces of the NFL. GM Brian Gutekunst runs this show for the Green Bay Packers, and he took time off from his Combine routine to talk with us. And one of the things we talked about was what you might call the identity of the upcoming draft. Brian, in a general sense, where is this combine/draft strong?
Wide receiver has been talked about a lot, and I do think it is a deep class. We're still kind of in the beginning phases of really evaluating, getting down to the nuts and bolts of what this class is. But the offensive lineman came through this morning. I thought that looked like a really good class this morning, seeing them live for the first time. There's Ted Thompson always used to say this, but when it's our turn to pick, there's always a good player somewhere. You just got to find him, and so that's our job. That's our task.
Now, the other day you rocked a few boats by saying a quarterback could be in play high in the draft. Now, in fact, is that any different than any other year, depending on the guy?
No, not at all. I mean, it's again, I've probably said this more times than not, but where I was raised in this business by Ron Wolf, Ted Thompson, this is a quarterback league, and it's such an important part of what we do that, and there's only so many guys on the planet that can do it. But if you have an opportunity to acquire one, you're going to consider it. And obviously, we have one of the best that's ever done it, and we hope he plays for a long, long time. But if good quarterbacks come around, whether it's round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, we're going to consider taking them.
Listening to you talk, not only this year, but pretty much every year about the draft and the combine, a phrase you say quite a bit is, you got to go back to the tape. Could you talk about that philosophy when it comes to evaluations?
Yeah, we always have believed that that's the most important thing. How you play the game, can you play? And the tape will tell you that. We do so many different things. There's, obviously these interviews that we're having here. There's the workouts and the medical, and there's a lot that goes into it, and they're all important. But when you have kind of discrepancies or things aren't consistent, we always want to go back to the tape because it's about how they play the game and can they be productive on the field and stuff. So again, all of it's important, but when we have inconsistencies, we're going to probably go back to the tape and make that decision that way.
When you have those individual meetings with players, what do you want to hear from that young guy in the room with you?
I think authenticity. We're really trying. These guys are, in today's day and age, they're coached up so well. They've been through so many mock interviews and things like that. It's really just to try to get to know them, their real selves, as much as we can, and to try to determine if they could be a fit in Green Bay. It's not easy in 15 to 18 minutes, but you do your best.
Brian, you guys did a lot of great things last year, but the way the season ended was not great in the NFC Championship game. How much does that one loss to San Francisco figure into your evaluations of this football team and what it needs?
it's part of it. I think you got to be careful of not putting too much emphasis on it. I think you can make mistakes that way. The challenges that we're going to face coming up, it could be completely different than what they were last year. So I think really it's about improving from within and continuing to kind of focus on our process and making it better. But we certainly evaluated that and how that game kind of ended up, because it was very disappointing. But at the same time, I think if you focus too much on one game or one team, you're going to make mistakes.
As we speak, the new CBA is a work in progress, but just a couple of concepts. More games, more playoff teams. How does those concepts set with Brian Gutekunst?
Yeah, there's so much that is out of our control. We try not to focus on it too much. We are aware of it, and we are certainly, there's some contingency plans for how things may go. There's some exciting things that, just like you guys probably read in the papers, there may be more roster spots, things like that excite me. More football for me. I mean, as a football fan, I think that's really good for the organization and the fans, but really not concentrating on too much because it's something I'm out of my control.
Last thing for you, Brian. Now, when you and the other guys, the scouts, the guys that do it for a living, when you guys get together somewhere to have some root beer or something like that, is there an all-time, combine performance that you guys, could you believe what that guy did? Doesn't have to be one of your own guys. Is there one of those performances that always stands out?
You're talking about players, right?
Yeah,
Not scouts at the combine, right? Okay. No, I think, the one, and somebody asked me this question earlier, but it was Byron Jones and his broad jump. I think, and there's been a lot of really good performances, overall performances, but to actually witness that and watch that on tape and run it back 15 times, trying to see if there's kind of editing involved, because, the amount of air, the hang time he got in that jump, that was probably the one feat that kind of just took me away.
Brian, thank you for being with us. Have a great week.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate it, man.
Cowboy corner and soon-to-be free agent Byron Jones going 12 feet, 3 inches back in the 2015 Combine. Joining us now, the experts from Packers.com, Mike Spofford and Wes Hodkiewicz. Welcome, gentlemen. Sharing the spotlight with the Combine this week is the proposed new CBA. Another regular season game, another couple teams in the playoffs. Now, Mike, you come across as somewhat of a traditionalist. What do you think?
Well, I'll say this. As far as the 17th regular season game, yes, I am a traditionalist, and I'm not overwhelmingly in favor of it. But if you're going to trade one preseason game for a regular season game and go with the 3-17, I'm not the guy whose body's getting beat up for an extra 65 or 70 plays when that happens, so I'd be okay with that. My larger objection, frankly, is with the potential for the expanded playoffs, because the NFL's had the 12 teams in the playoffs, the 2 teams in each conference getting a first-round bye. I just think it's been a really good system for a long time. I don't like the idea of the league trending toward almost half of the teams getting into the postseason, which is where the NBA and the NHL are and where they've been for a number of years, because that just devalues the regular season that much more to me. So I'm not crazy about the expanded playoffs, but you know what? If the Packers are that 7th team in the NFC one of these upcoming years, then maybe it'll be a good thing for me.
I'm with you on that, Mike, but I started thinking about it, and I'm a traditionalist, but NFL games are so close. I mean, almost every one of them boiled down to a play or two.
True enough.
And I was thinking, is there that much difference between the team that gets in and the team that doesn't? And then I started softening my stance and thinking, hey, well, maybe the more the merrier. Wes, what do you think?
I'm all over the place on this one, Larry. And the biggest reason why is because I think the National Football League has the best playoff system of any professional sport. There are so many leagues where it doesn't mean anything to make the postseason. The NFL, it does, because there's only 12 teams that get in. At the same time, it is very enticing to have 3 football games, 3 playoff games on a Saturday, 3 playoff games on a Sunday. Could make the league really interesting. The one thing I'm definitely on board for is expanding rosters. I think it's time. It's a physical game. I'm all for more jobs with players. I'm all for seeing those minimum salaries go up. And I really like being able to take away the last preseason game, give teams 2 full weeks to prepare for the regular season rather than just trying to get through that last one. All those things are cool. It's just the big thing is going to 17 games and adding the playoff game. I've really hemmed and hawed over it. I'm still probably on the no side, but I also understand how the league works, how society society works. You got to make money, and it's a good money maker.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Coming up, the Packers and free agency. We'll talk about that when we come back.